Hey guys, welcome to part 6 of my DCEU. This part will only have 2 movies in it, unlike the usual 3. This part starts with the sequel to the Flash movie. The movie starts off with Barry working in a forensics lab. He hasn't used his powers since his run-in with Parasite, and Parasite taking his powers away. He walks out of the lab to talk to Captain Sink. Barry says that he has finished the report on the Glosson case, and that somehow the man he killed died more slowly than usual. Singh says that Barry did a good job, and they will figure it out eventually, so he can take the rest of the day off. Barry says that's great because he managed to get a date. Barry goes on his date, and the girl introduces herself as Iris West. The date goes well, and the two of them are walking down the street when there is a huge explosion. Iris wants to go and help, while also being the first one to get a story since she is a reporter. Barry doesn't want to go, since he can't do anything with him not being confident with his powers just yet. But Iris goes anyway, so Barry follows her. When Iris and Barry gets there, time seems to slow down by a lot. Barry tries to figure out why, when he sees Glosson, the same guy that he was just doing a report on earlier. Since Barry isn't using his speed, he can't stop Glosson from kidnapping Iris. Barry then turns around and he gets hit by slow fire and ice beams. He then sees Iris getting taken away by Glosson, Leonard Snart, and someone else that Barry hasn't seen before. Barry goes to see his father in prison. Barry asks him if he heard anything about Glosson or Snart. His father says that he heard something about Glosson having powers, but thought that it was impossible. But he should have known better, since Barry is the fastest man alive. Barry says that he should have told him about it, because now Glosson has escaped, and Barry isn't using his powers much. Mr. Allen interrupts Barry, and asks him why he hasn't used his powers. Barry says that since Parasite took his powers, he felt like he shouldn't have them at all. Mr. Allen says that Barry got these powers for a reason, because he has a huge amount of fight inside of him. And since Barry doesn't want to be like Superman anymore, he needs to find what he wants to fight for. That's when a breaking news alert comes on the TV, and it shows Glosson, Snart, and the guy with the fire gun, and all the other villains Barry defeated in the first movie. They say that they want revenge on the Flash for stopping them before. Snart says that he would like to thank Mr. Mick Roy for showing him that even though the government promised you a happy life, they're always full of crap, and you should always do what you want to do in life. That's why, when we're done with the Flash, we're going to rob every bank in the tri-state area. We also took Miss West here to use her resources as a reporter to tell their story on every news station and in every newspaper. Snart then says that Flash should find them in a warehouse off Central City Highway. Snart then hits Iris, and then the TV goes off. As soon as it goes off, there's a flicker of light in Barry's eye, and he says he found it and runs off. Mr. Allen says, "There you go, son." Barry finds the rogues, and they outnumber him and leave him bloody and knocked out. Snart says that they can finally kill the fastest man alive, but first they must find out who is under the mask. The rogues are about to unmask Barry when there is a flash of white lightning, and Barry and Iris are gone. Barry realizes that he is back in his apartment and sees a guy in a yellow suit like the man that killed his mother. Barry rushes at him and screams that he killed his mom. The guy in the yellow suit tries to calm him down by saying that he's not Eobard. Barry asks him, "Who's Eobard?" He says, "That's right, you don't know that Eobard killed Aunt Nora." Barry asks if they are related somehow. He says that they technically are, and he introduces himself as Wally West, also known as Kid Spy, also known as Iris West's nephew from the future, and your nephew by marriage. Barry doesn't believe Wally, and he needs proof. Wally smiles and says, Clark Kent is Superman, Bruce Wayne is Batman, John Jones is Martian Manhunter, Hal Jordan is Green Lantern, Victor Stone is Cyborg. Then Wally asks Barry if he believes him now. Barry says that he does, but why did Wally come to this point in time? Wally says that the rogues were going to paralyze Barry if Wally didn't step in and stop him. And the world needs the Flash. When Dark, Barry interrupts him, says he gets it, and he shouldn't know too much about his own future. But where did he take Iris? Wally says that he dropped her off at her place, since she shouldn't know Barry's secret just yet. Barry thanks him for saving him from the rogues, but they are still going to try and rob those banks, so they need to stop them. Wally agrees and says that they need more help. He runs off and comes back with Cyborg. Barry asks Wally, what about the rest of the league? And Wally says that he knows Victor the best, since at one point they were on the same team. Barry and Wally then explain the situation to Victor, and they go to stop the rogues. The three heroes split up, and Barry's force with Snart, Roy, and Glosson. The three heroes split up, and Barry is faced with Snart, Roy, and Glosson. Barry manages to take down Glosson easily now, since when Glosson slows down time, Barry uses his super speed, and it's like he's walking normally. After Glosson is taken care of, Barry manages to go fast enough so Snart's cold beam and Roy's fire beam knock them out. Victor and Wally also manage to save the rest of the banks. The movie ends with Barry and Wally sharing a great moment before Wally has to go back to his time. They hug, and Wally tells Barry that he should tell Iris that he is the Flash. Barry simply smiles and says that he'll think about it. Wally then runs off and goes back to his time. Victor asks Barry if he's going to do it, and Barry says that he's planning on doing something more than that. Barry then pulls out a ring, and the movie ends. The post-credit scene is Barry walking with Iris in a cemetery, and he says that he wants to introduce her to someone. Iris then gets a text from her sister that she's pregnant with a boy. Barry then whispers, Wally. Iris looks at him and says, what? And Barry just says that she shouldn't worry about it. They then arrive at Barry's mom's site, and Barry tells Iris about the man in the yellow suit that killed her. That's when Barry sees Eobard across the cemetery and runs after him. Then they run all over the city when they go fast enough to disappear. We get back to Iris, and she says, Barry is the Flash. The second and final movie of this part is Justice League 2. The movie starts with Victor looking for Barry. After the last movie, Victor is flying all over Gotham when he is suddenly taken out of the sky and gets knocked out by the impact of hitting the ground. We then see him get taken away by the people that took him down. We then see Selina Kyle was watching everything happen. Selina then shows up to talk to Bruce about it, but Bruce is hearing none of it, and him and Selina is about to go at it when Alfred interrupts and says that Bruce wanted to watch over the mayor's speech at Town Hall. Bruce reluctantly leaves Selina. Meanwhile, we see Victor waking up on Lex's boat, and he realizes that they're not alone. Also, there are Cheetah and Black Manta, and Lex says that Victor is going to help him with something, and if he doesn't, we'll just find someone else to do it, and they will kill Victor, of course. This makes Victor realize that he has no choice but to do it. Back in Gotham, at the mayor's speech, Batman is patrolling the scene when he sees someone suspicious. The suspicious person takes out a gun. Before he can do anything, Batman jumps down to fight him. Batman is about to win when he gets attacked from behind by the Joker and Harley Quinn. Joker then shoots the gun, killing the mayor instantly. Bruce returns to the Batcave and is greeted by the rest of the League because Alfred and Selina called them and told them what happened. The League is frustrated with Bruce because he didn't trust Selina and tried to find Victor and maybe the mayor would still be alive. Bruce says that he realizes that he messed up, but there's nothing that they can do now for that mayor. So their number one priority should be trying to find Victor. That's when Aquaman gets an alert, and there's an unusual boat off the coast of the Atlantic in Pennsylvania. Arthur brings up the picture of the boat, and there's a LexCorp L symbol on the side. Clark gets angry because he thought Lex wouldn't be back so soon, but now he seems to have a powerful army with him this time. The League goes to the coast. Arthur uses his trident to bring the boat to the shore. The League sees Black Manta come out of the boat with his hands up, and he says that Cyborg is not there. That's when Manta shows that he has a remote in his hand, and he presses the button. That is when a cannon shoots out of the boat and shoots Superman with something red. Manta says that Luthor is a smart man, and he was able to figure out that there is another type of kryptonite. And this kind of kryptonite makes the Kryptonians vulnerable to commands. That's when a hologram of Lex comes from the boat, and he says that what Manta was saying was correct. And now, Superman, you should kill the rest of the League. The hologram disappears, and Superman starts shooting heat vision from his eyes at the heroes. The heroes try to take cover and not get hit by the lasers. Superman is about to strike Selena, but Bruce gets in front of her, yelling at Clark to go through him before Selena. Clark seems to be shaking off the effects of the red kryptonite, but he goes forward to Bruce. That's when another flying hero takes down Clark. The two fight all over Pennsylvania, and then the other hero crashes Clark back on the beach, knocking Clark out. The new hero stands up and introduces himself as Shazam. He says that he has been protecting Pennsylvania for about a year, and he wants to help the League in any way that he can. League takes Clark back to the Hall of Justice so he can rest up. When they get there, Dr. Troy and Dr. Stone are waiting on them so they can start working on Clark. The heroes are trying to figure out what to do next when Shazam walks out of the room for just a second, and when he comes back, he's in his kid form, and he confuses everyone else. Diana goes up to him and asks him how he got inside. That's when he explains that he got his powers when he says the name Shazam, and he gets the powers of the gods. He then demonstrates for them a couple of times, and Bruce says that Billy should be more careful next time. Selena pulls Bruce aside to have a talk with him. She says that she greatly appreciates what he did for her in front of Clark. And when she saw how great he was with giving Billy the advice about not making a joke of himself from adult to a child, back to an adult, that proves to her that Bruce can be a great father as well as a great hero for not just Gotham, but the whole world. And because of that, he has every right to spend time with their daughter, Helena. Bruce says that's great. And maybe when this is all over, him, her, Helena, and Dick can live together and finally be a family. Selena goes to kiss Bruce, but they're interrupted by a message coming from one of the computers. It is a recording from Cyborg, and he says that he doesn't have much time, but he was able to turn on his tracking device inside of him. They are able to find where Cyborg is, and they start to head that way. Dr. Troy comes to talk to Bruce, and he says that him and Dr. Stone are trying everything they can to fix Clark, but it will take a while for them to figure everything out and fix him. So he thinks it will be better for him to be in the field, since he has built his own suit that allows him to shrink, and maybe he can help. Bruce says that he really doesn't want Troy out there, but if he allows him to be out there, that Troy needs to stay behind everyone else. Troy agrees to do so. In the final fight, the League is met by Lex Luthor and the rest of the Legion of Doom. Lex says that this is it, his final big plan, and by the end of it all, he'll be the President of the United States. His partners will roll over every city that they want. The heroes try to talk some sense into the villains by saying that he is using them. And isn't it weird that he's making them do all the hard work, but they're just not listening to them, and they just want to fight. The heroes fight against their respective villains, with Luthor and Troy hanging back and watching everything from afar. Lex didn't know about Shazam, and he's just now starting to realize that the League has a new powerful ally. Luthor then yells out, "Do you want to know why I took your computer friend? It's because I needed him to build me this." He takes out a remote and hits a button, and out comes his comic-accurate green suit, and he gets inside of it. He starts blasting the ground with blasters. Troy realizes that this is his chance to do something for the team. He shrinks and tries to get inside of Lex's suit that way, but it doesn't work. Lex says, "How can you be that stupid with a PhD, Troy? You don't think I wouldn't have recognized Ray Palmer's work from a mile away?" He then flicks Troy away. Diana gets an opportunity to take Lex down. She ties the lasso of truth around one of the suit's arms, but Lex snaps the lasso in half. Diana falls to her knees in absolute shock. Sheeta, who has been fascinated with the lasso since she heard about it, stops fighting, and a switch goes off in her head, and she attacks Lex, and he doesn't understand why. When Sheeta turns on Lex, it causes a domino effect with the rest of the group, and they attack a shocked Lex as well. Even with the League and the Legion of Doom working together, Lex's suit is way too powerful. When it looks like they're going to lose, the suit starts to slow down, and then we hear Victor's voice saying that when he built the suit, he made it where he can take it over at any time. Victor takes it down, and Lex finds himself surrounded by the heroes and villains. Then Lex, who thinks he's going to jail again, he's actually going to Arkham Asylum. The heroes let the rest of the Legion of Doom go, since they helped them fight Lex. The movie ends with the heroes in the Hall of Justice at the round table. Diana says that everyone in this room, Clark and Barry, wherever he is, they all deserve to be there because they're all heroes. And this group will always get bigger and better. Then we see a rooftop across the street from the hall is Oliver Queen watching over the league. The post-credit scene is Clark laying down when a female shadow falls over his body. Thanks for watching this part. Please like, comment, and subscribe.